Just one final question. So if we could get the information of the 12% of the students that are enrolled now from low-income families, at what level in the system are they enrolled, so that we can see a distribution?
We'll do our best to get that demographic data to you very, very quickly, Senator.
And then just finally, and again, I know that it's hard on this, but the community colleges, again, receive a different allocation of funding, and so when you have those institutions, because maybe that's where more students are going because of a affordability factor, there's also an issue where those colleges are not getting an ample amount per student to meet all of their educational needs. And I think this also goes into the support that students need at the community college level to get their 2-year associates or their 2+2 program going, and then be able to go on to a 4-year either college or university. And I know we've seen data in the past which suggest that not all of the students who start at the community college continue on. And if the colleges don't have the support or the funding that they need, and it results in the students not being able to achieve their ultimate goal, we need to understand that and have a plan for how we're going to hold those community colleges, their funding formula. We need a plan for how we can improve their funding formula overall. And I know it can't happen overnight, but we've got to start at some point. And this isn't an easy place to start because we're just trying to maintain funding. But you know, you look at the funding formula for some of these community colleges, and they're just not adequate. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator, we understand that student services, not only at community colleges, but at State College and the university are a critical factor in student success. And they, of course, suffer in these budget declines like in every other sector, and it's critical for us to find those. I understand the comments with respect to both the formula and the adequacy of funding. There are discussions which we have had, which the Chancellor has led. I think they represent a priority for the system in continuing those discussions, whether they occur and come to fruition in this session, or whether we agree that we need to take a hard look at those in the interim is up to the wisdom of the legislature. But we think these are critical discussions that we need to have.
Thank you, Senator Horsford. Let's get back, because if we don't,
yes, ma'am.
We've got to get this budget funded, and it's been my contention ever since I've been here that the community colleges formula needed to be looked at, and I've been here almost 16 years, and I've said it every year, and I've been pushed every year. So, but somebody sooner or later is going to get around to that, and it will make my heart happy that the formula is looked at, and not only looked at, but something done about it. And they keep telling me to shut up and wait, and now we've got another voice here that's also interested in it, and he had not talked to me about that, but it has been a concern of mine for 16 years that the formula needed to be looked at and done something about. So we'll move on from that, because what we need to look at now is to try to get this budget to make sure higher education in this state, both universities and community colleges, suffer as little as possible. And so let's move into that phase of it. And that phase of it is, the first thing I wanted to ask is, have you an emergency plan for faculty people if we don't get the monies we need, for layoffs and downsizing, I should say? Do we have a plan for that?
Madam Chair, we have a process for that. I'm not
Maybe
sure.
that's what I'm asking, process.
There is a process that I'll be straight with you. I hope none of us ever see come to pass.
Okay.
If budget cuts go to a level where the presidents cannot manage them within cuts to their operating budget, within natural attrition, vacancy savings, and everything else that they've been doing to manage, we would have no option at the end but to declare a financial exigency, which would allow us to.
Sometimes I said emergency because I couldn't say that other word.
We've got an emergency plan, Madam Chair, that would allow us on an expedited basis to terminate programs and faculty.
And I'm with you. I don't want to see that happen, but we need to know that we just needed to know if you had a plan for that, and if so, right now, what are we going to do in terms of if you have to look at your expenditure, how are you going to reduce that to make sure you don't have to lay off?
Madam Chair, we are, it's our hope, and I think it's a reasonable hope and a reasonable request of this body, that this body finds the ability to move our funding to a 2006 level, which involves a substantial amount of restraint from the legislature and an incredible amount of support for higher education, which also frees up badly needed stimulus dollars and would allow us to have a budget moving forward for 2 years that we are comfortable would avoid those kind of emergency situations.
Okay. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I feel like we're just doing the dance here, that we're talking in general terms and on the fringe of what's going on. We are in a crisis here. We're in a terrible situation. We know what the recommended budget is. We know, we'd like to improve upon that. But we have to figure out what happens in this budget. And I don't feel like the answers are forthcoming. In your response to our question about the financial exigency, the nshe apparently said that you don't think we would qualify for that situation because of stimulus, possible stimulus dollars. So if that doesn't happen, what is the plan? If you can't furlough staff, what is the plan?
We will.
Expenditure-wise, I mean, you have to start telling us what the plan is. We have to start getting some answers on these questions because we don't have a lot of time to develop our plans. So we have to have answers. We can't keep talking in generalities.
I appreciate that, Mrs. Smith, and I am I'm trying to be candid with you this morning, and I'll answer the question 2 ways, or maybe 3, but I'll try to be specific in each of them. If the state meets the maintenance of effort requirements, which still implies a greater than a 16% cut to our operating budget, we believe that with that effort and with the infusion of stimulus dollars, we will not have to get to those layoffs. So that would be option number 1. If you don't meet that level, then and anything near the governor's cuts are going forward, we will have to lay off staff, and that will imply, in all likelihood, a declaration of financial exigency and a termination of staff. I'm not trying to be evasive about that. There really is no option. If you don't have money, don't pass it through to the university. You will lay people off. We estimated at our last hearing that with the cuts implied by the governor, those layoffs would be anywhere between 2,000 and 2,200 people. We know you're going to do your best to fund higher education because these aren't our colleges and universities. They're your colleges and universities. They're the colleges and universities attended by your constituents. And you're going to do the best to fund us that you possibly can. And we're going to take that money and protect the core institution or core missions to the extent we can.